So last week, thanks to the Pancake Day event missions, we were able to earn ourselves a brand new tent, and the only logical step from here is to find a place to set it up and actually be able to use it. Now I would say at this point it's no secret, probably our biggest goal in the Hunter Classic right now is to get a 400 scoring Red elk, and while we do the majority of our elk hunting on Red Feather, the reality remains our only 400 elk ever. Two in the same hunt right here on Whiteheart Island at the Golden Tree Stand. So my thought is, Whiteheart's kind of an awkwardly shaped map. There's a lot of room, like especially up in here where we don't have a tent, and I think it could help to have an additional tent there. We may even set up two. We've got a couple of extra ones actually from other events that we never set up. So we may go ahead and do that. And actually, we're going to be streaming the Hunter Classic a little bit later tonight over on Twitch. I think we'll even host this map with the new setup and kind of see how it goes. So naturally, we end up with a couple of blacktail first, but the thing that I'm most excited about, honestly, whether it is elk in this hunt or blacktail, coyotes, whatever we may run into, the thing I really enjoy about doing stuff like this is it always brings us through parts of the map that we don't normally hunt. I mean, especially, maybe never more so than a hunt where we're going to put a tent in a place that we don't have one. Rarely, if ever, do we actually go over there. So a 158 scoring blacktail that time, and I'm kind of thinking somewhere near that tower, at least for now, is where we'll place. A good chance it gets moved around at some point in the future, but at least as a starting point, that's probably where we're going to go. So I should probably point out, as we've arrived at the tower and placed our tent here, this spot on the west side of the map isn't necessarily the best spot for elk, but they can end up in this area. I actually had tracks from a couple of different herds as we walk down here. But what we're going to do now is bounce across to the east side where there most certainly are elk, and we're going to probably grab another tent just to have it on us, and if we find a good spot, we'll put that one down too. Ooh, that was a big elk, up to 415. I saw that for a second there. I don't know what the back tines look like. That's got a real chance. So, okay, I think we're still calling in a herd. I don't know what he was doing there. I may have to actually go back and rewatch that, or maybe we just hurry up and pick up the fleeing track, because eventually, if this is a herd of elk coming in, we're going to shoot something, and there's going to be fleeing tracks everywhere. I had just picked up a max weight elk track. There's a good one coming in there too, but of course, probably the biggest of everything in here was for some reason right on top of us. Now, because we've got the tent, I don't have like a rifle for elk. We're gonna have to try to stick an arrow in that guy before he gets up behind that tree. That one was the max weight estimate one, which is good info. And frankly, like, I don't want to run around. You can see the border down here against the water. That bull is probably not far away. That's gonna be the fleeing track. 430 to 470, probably something we need to remember. And I guess I didn't even look at the score estimate. I guess we could consider a skull mount for this guy. I have no idea how big he might even be. 311, so nothing to worry about there. And I think the range is something like 40. So that was probably 375 minimum, something like that over here. This is the one to focus on. That would be our bull, 370 to 415. Does he only have two back tines though? It's still possible for sure with two back tines. It's just considerably tougher. It's got to be a more perfect frame. It's got to have longer tines, all that stuff. I will say, the back tines he has are decent, and this has been just a wild track. Inevitably, he ran down to the edge of the map and then tried to trot back and catch up with the rest of the herd. So we are way far away. Actually, not actually too far away, but we made a big loop. And we've traveled quite some distance from where we initially spooked him. So let's actually try to get a look as he comes in. We got to use the bow anyway. What kind of expectations do we have? He's got the kind of wavy brow tines, which is good. That's some pretty wild tide length. I think there's a shot. We're going to see if we can take him down. Hopefully no more tracking is going to be needed. At about 20 meters. Dropped in his tracks. And there was another bull sneaking in from the right. There is a chance. All the way up to 415, so fingers crossed. I don't know, I could see it. That's all I'm going to say is I could see it. Double lung liver. 383, dang. So we've had in the fairly recent past, I guess now counting this one, a 383 and a 389, and I think both had just the 2 back tines. I doubt that 2 more back tines on this bull add the 16.5 or whatever it was inches to be a 400. It sure wouldn't have hurt. He would have been right there close, but that's going to be one heck of a skull mount. The only kind of negative, as we have another bull sounded off there, is we did shoot him in the trees here, and not in the field that's just over beside us. So it could have been a slightly better photo, with better lighting. And I almost fast traveled to that tent to try to catch him over here because he was moving that way, but if he had just, turned, got a different direction, it could have completely screwed stuff up. So I guess we're gonna try to call in that other bull, see if we can get him to come up here, and in the meantime, see if there's any turkeys or anything else around. Well, that would probably be the other bull that we were calling in. And that would make sense, because he's coming from the right direction that I think the sound came from in the trophy shot screen. Kind of tough to tell, as far as like the spatial sound and stuff. But the one good thing is, minus the fact that we had to track that bull forever before we got to shoot him, we haven't had to track anything after the fact, so not going to be quite as impressive as a 383. 162 for that guy, about 220 inches smaller, but that will be kind of cool. I think we've got a couple of maybe one 320 left and some 330s, so to replace one of those, the smallest one obviously, with a 383 for our skull mounts, that's still a huge success, and I can't even be, too upset that he's not a 400. We're literally setting things up to maybe search for a 400 one day on this map. And I still want all those skull mounts as good as they can be. Wait. I thought we killed that one. Alright, I'm gonna jump in the stand and call just in case because the herd's around. I thought that was the track that we were on. And I thought he was the 311 or whatever. There's some elk coming in. If we just sit here, maybe there's another good one around. Could it be that one right there? That's probably 460 to 500 and a 340 to 385 estimate. Now he's not as big, even though he's got 3 back tines. It's really clear his frame's not as big. He may be a 350 or so. Got good tine length and everything. That's a good bull, no doubt. That's not even him. New trail, but it's a max estimate bull, and a pretty good looking one. I don't know how we have ended up in this situation, but I am not gonna complain. I still don't see, like the last track I think was going down towards the beach. I don't see any sign of a big bull coming up out of there. And it's clear we've never spotted him because of the discrepancy. So just to clarify, like when we spot this bull, the estimate says, for the weight, 460 to 500 kilo. That track was 450 to 500, and that discrepancy is consistent. It'll be a 50 kilo range on tracks and a 40 kilo range on spotting. But either way, we're gonna go ahead and try to drop this guy. It's inevitably gonna spook stuff, and we probably have a long track job ahead of us again. There's another cow coming out of there. I mean, could he be coming in back there? Maybe, but there's so many elk all over the place. I just don't know what's going on, and I think before he ends up spooking, because he's standing right underneath us, I'd rather just get an arrow in him. Obviously dropping him would have been ideal, but single lung's gonna work. And we gotta figure out yet another part of this puzzle. Sometimes I wonder if we'll ever have just a normal good hunt. I feel like anytime we have a good hunt, there's always some sort of chaos. Kind of cool the way he almost like crashed in through these trees, but anyway, I think we have potentially another skull mount in the making here. 358.9. I guess we'll take a photo because why not? And I should have tagged first, but I can do that through the stats page. That'll be no big deal. That will then be 3, let's say 335 or less elk that are going to be replaced, which is, not the ultimate goal, but it's among the ultimate goals for our trophy lodge, so we'll take that. So basically the exact same idea as the last photo. The only difference is, and I'm trying to get that where it's as zoomed in as possible, We can't move the camera any further left. We're up against the edge on that side, but at least we got him in the sunlight. And I'll jump to the stats page and get that text so I don't forget. But now we gotta go back, get on the original track that had me following the herd that led to the 383, and figure out where the heck that is, because somehow we never even saw him. I think that's our bull there. 470 to 500 kilo would make sense. 325 to 370. Now, the way he's trotting around, I'm thinking maybe he's spooked right now. If he does anything like what these cows are doing, though, we can probably at least get an arrow in him. If he goes down there, there's nowhere he can go. We're going to be able to definitely get into range. So we're going to keep on crawling down there. As long as he keeps on moving to the right for now, we're in a really good spot. Ooh, I hear his footsteps. It sounded like he was trotting. I couldn't tell exactly what direction he went in, but oh yeah, I see him. He's cutting like across down there. That's doable. Now, one thing I'll say, almost always in the rain, the wind is kind of worse, so we may be dealing with a significant crosswind, and that's close to 50 meters. Now, when he moves, I kind of expect him to trot, but stopped for a second there. That hit way low. That might not be as bad as I thought. But just where we are, it's in a really kind of awkward place to try to hunt, and I definitely didn't want him to be able to get out of there. So I did ID that turkey call. Hopefully, if we can find one of the blood tracks here, it will confirm that we actually shot the right bull. So not only did we actually hit him, we got him through a lung. So that was a very worthwhile venture to take that shot. And finally, I think probably he's going to be like a 330. I don't think he's going to be a skull mount, but we actually found the one that we were originally looking for that led to two nearly 360 or better. Like I said before, always some sort of chaos that has to happen. He's not as bad looking up close as I thought. Let's see, because he's got good time, like he's 490 kilo, but 331 is a little bit more like what I expected for that one. So, no skull mount, but what did we kill? 4? Over 310, there was a 311, 331, 358, and 383. That's not a bad deal for getting one heavy track, but as you can see, we've been very much spending a bunch of time in this area. So what I think we'll do is actually jump down to here. The place that I've been considering placing this second tent, we've got a female bobcat there that we're not going to worry about, is maybe on like the backside of this little hill. I kind of think it's, again, not the greatest place for elk, but a spot that it wouldn't be a bad idea to be able to jump to, especially later in hunts. And, you know, like I said, I think this could be a spot that could really work well later in hunts. We've got a gobbler, I heard a bobcat, there's blacktail, whitetail just trotting around down here. I think this little open field could be a really good spot to place a tent. So, managed to drop that silently. There was another gobbler coming in. I think it's that one right there. If he's not special, we'll probably leave him go, and he actually doesn't look it at all. 40 to 50 is going to be fine. So what I think we'll do is actually place a tent down here and put a tree stand maybe right at the edge here. And I think we could actually have a pretty good future setup. So this one, by the way, wasn't special either. Right lung shot at 27 meters. And a very long time to calculate a 40.05 score. And one thing, by the way, I meant to mention early on and failed to, was that the tent that we set up, and also this newest tent that we just placed, were not the specific ones that we earned through that mission. I replaced that with another tent because I just like the trapper tents better, but I thought that was probably worth clarifying. I think we got a pretty decent spot here, so at this stage we're going to call in a whitetail buck, I guess, and then we're going to jump down to the South Island. Now, clearly, we'd have been better off if he just didn't grunt, because it would have saved us a couple of minutes and we could have gotten down to that southern island. I will say, though, I'm actually not 100% sure that we would have been ready to fast travel, and maybe we aren't even yet, but we gotta be pretty close if we are not. So what I want to do is just kind of hunt around this area, one of the better spots for elk, and we actually have 5 minutes to even kill before that, but this buck, that at least we were able to drop 56 score, not exactly what we're after, but We'll take a little bonus kill since we had the time to pass anyway. Well, I can't say I'm surprised, because this exact same thing happened the last time that we hunted White Hart Island. Not much at all going on down here on the south part of the map. Now, to be fair, we didn't zigzag across like we typically do, but a real lack of tracks, calls, anything from either bucks or bulls. But to be fair, killing 4 over 300 basically in the same spot is probably about as good as we could ask for. So we do have the new skulls in the trophy lodge here, and I think it's about time to take a look at them. Now, finding a spot to actually see them well is a little easier said than done, but this is our new 358, and we've got that next to, it's hard to get it to come up, but a 335 and a 355. The thing I really like about this, they all have different antler colors, which is really cool when we're doing the European mounts. On the opposite side over here, a much easier one to actually look at, our newest one, the 383 down here on this end, and I think for our biggest elk, like these 380s, they basically have to be on the end, because otherwise they end up kind of clipping through the antlers of the other ones. So on this opposite side, I mentioned the 389 we got pretty recently. With this sticker on the one next to him, he's nearly clipping through already, and he even is on the end. Put him between 2 other ones, and we start to run into a little bit of a problem, but pretty darn cool. Our second 380 elk skull, and another one nearly 360, all from just going out and setting up a tent that we earned through the missions last week. So looking forward to future elk hunts. Maybe that tent that we set up will lead us to some even bigger ones, but I like what we have going on. And I should note too, this 350 up here, you can see it kind of clipping through the wall. That's why I haven't put one of the 380s there. They're even bigger and they will do the exact same thing. Still haven't actually decided what we're going to do with that, but anyway, that is going to do it for this video. So as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.